Hello and welcome to another free code session. My name is Jason Bach and kind of tired this morning. Not really feeling up to task of doing an episode, but I'm going to do one anyway because I also want to work on this stuff and see where it goes. So this is trying to see if I can improve how Rocks does things. So the intention is to use this simple console app and pull out the generated code, come up with something new, and then do benchmark testing and see if there's any difference between the two. So what did I say I was going to look at? Yeah, I love test results like that. So we did that. So we're looking at getting rid of casts using fields and all that other stuff, and then doing something like what the verify tests and things like that do. Okay. So, oh, well, I already did that. So that's a duplicate. Okay. So it's kind of annoying that when you first do this, even in 2022, that these are valid. If I F12 into them, it actually goes into the code. But then if I try to F12 into something like this, it goes, I have no idea what's going on. Let me restart it. Let's see if it gets any better. And you don't remember that I actually did a console app 7. You're doing the list. Would have been better if it was there. Let's see if it actually unsquiggles the stuff. And let's see, let's build. That succeeded. But it hasn't done any of the colorization just yet. Because, you know, that takes time. Well, it has. I mean, down here it has. Up here it hasn't. And if I F12, nope. That to me is something they gotta fix. Because that's just kind of annoying. But anyway. Okay, so let's just take all this and what do we want to call it? Create expectations if I do stuff. Experiment extensions. Well, it's for, yeah, really what we want to change is this and this. The things that happen down here, that's all going to stay the same. We're really trying to change this. And so what we want is a different instance extension to this. We don't actually need to change any of this. Okay. So if that made sense. So let's come up here and say create expectations of I do stuff experiment extensions. Okay. Take all this, pass it in here. Wait. Let's do that because then I can preserve this. Up here, grab all that, rename that. We don't need this. And then we can take these off. There. Okay, and this should still build, right? Because those two classes are private, and so it doesn't matter if they're the same name. Okay. And so now what we should be getting here is a way to say instance or instance experiment. Okay. All right. Forgot to talk about something that has been going on with my provider for my phone. I have a OnePlus 5T, and apparently that's not 5G compatible, supportable, I don't know. But my provider, AT&T, decided that phones that can't do 5G are going to be kicked off because they're upgrading their networks and they'll only support 5G or something. I don't know. The point is that they had sent me this phone, this thing called a Maestro, that I was like, well, what do I do with this? I have to admit, I didn't quite read all the texts directly. I thought I had until February. Oh no, I had until yesterday before the phone was actually turned off other than 911 usage. So in February, it's going to be completely unusable from a phone carrier perspective. So needless to say, I was a little upset, but I said, you know what? The amount of times I actually use my phone as a phone to do calls and SMS texting is like that much. It's really, 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 really small. And at some point I'm going to get a newer phone. I was planning on doing it anyway, even though the one I have is just perfectly fine. So I said, you know what? I'm going to have this phone and I'm just going to use it if I absolutely have to take a call. Okay. And I'll have it hotspotting. And this phone is going to use that hotspot connection. I could use the Wi-Fi at home. That's fine. But point is, this phone has everything I want on it from a just device perspective. The fact that it's an AT&T phone is purely immaterial. So a little stubbornness, but at some point, both of these will go away in my future and I'll just get another phone and, be happily on my way. So in any event, let's move on. Okay. So we have this. It's doing the same thing. Okay. The thing that's different here is this create handlers. This is where we get the immutable dictionary of int and this. And what we want to do is turn this into something that's baked in to the type here. Okay. So the idea I had is something like private read only, and I could use immutables here to be consistent, to say they really are immutable. But I'm even going to go on a little bit of a ride here and say, let's just do something like an array of types. Okay. Now, you can't do this. Like if I wanted to say string array, that's okay. Yeah. The problem is all these callback types of things, because we're getting a method handler and we want to have like an action. We are going to need to do the call count. And actually that would be this. That. Okay. But unfortunately, we are going to have to keep the call count as handler information. That's a little disappointing. I could just say it's an action for the call count. Because what I'm trying to get away from is baking stuff in. So let's just, we'll go for an experiment here again. So we're going to say action increment call count, action callback. And in this case, we don't have any arguments. So this won't be an array. We're going to call this member 0. Okay. Now the second one will. So again, it's going to be an action of call count. It's going to be a callback of a string and a GUID. Okay. That's its callback. This is going to be member 1. And we need an argument string as A and argument GUID as B. Okay. But this is an array of those things, and that's fine. Okay. So now we're going to say private void crap. I just said crap because this is one of those things in C# that a read-only has to be done within a constructor. Even if you're calling the method from the constructor, it won't figure out that if I did something like store handlers here, taking a mutable dictionary of int and a mutable array of handler information, because that's what we want to pass into this, because we're going to demorgify, deconstruct this. And so if we said here, this dot store handlers using expectations dot create handlers, no, create, that should work. Yes, it does. Okay. I can't say this dot member 0 is equal to new null. Just to prove a point here. I read-only field cannot be assigned to except in a constructor or init. So I can't do this. So I have to make these this. Okay. A little sucky, but that's okay. All right. So we're going to pull this down here. And what I'm going to be able to do, at least I hope what I'm going to be able to do if this pans out, is being able to to store the, how do I want to say this? Why is it squiggling there? Yeah, one nullable enable. I want nullable disable around all this so that y'all can just shut up. Yeah, this is just the annoying thing of doing it. I could arguably do what I'm doing in store handlers and put that up in the constructor, and then I could do what I want. So we might end up pulling that out. Anyway, what I'm trying to do is say, like for here, if there were things set up, then this would work. Try get value would work. If there weren't, then you would throw the exception. Okay. So what I want to say is this. If method handlers this, okay, alvar method handlers, we're going to call this 0, then this is going to be, this is literally all experimentation. It's a vague idea in my head that I'm now trying to crystallize. So this would be method handlers 0, and this thing is the increment of 0 increment call count. Okay? No, as that. And then this is, I want to say if it is a, if not null, method, well, okay. Let's pull this out. Our method handler 0 is equal to that. So then we can do this and just pass that in. And now say method handler 0 dot method has action. No, that's not going to work. I'd love to one-line this and I can't. Well, no, I'm being an idiot. There. Because if it doesn't work, it'll be null, and we can accept null. Okay. Now, let's do the same thing for 1. So this is 1, 1. And now what we want to do is kind of do what we're saying here. In method handlers 1, method handler 1, okay, so we no longer do this. we want to say this dot member one is equal to a new of method handlers one dot. What is this? This is an array. It should be length, right? Why can't you? Don't tell me it's going to make me. Oh my God. Jeez. Well, okay. Can you just make it a 4? Thank you. Oh, so I don't want var. Var. And then this dot member one at I is equal to a new method handler one dot increment call count method handler one dot method as action of string GUID method handler. Okay, wait, this is getting a little bit long now. Method handler one of expectation 0. But we know that's going to castrate, okay? And then this is 1, so this is going to be a GUID. And then close it. There. Okay. So now what we could do is say, pull all this into that. Var handlers is equal to expectations. Create what? No. What? Why can't it pick up that create handlers? I don't understand why it's not able to see that. That's just a public thing, isn't it? Yeah. It's not a public class. So whatever. And then this. Okay. So again, the intent is to try to throw these all into arrays that are already casted to everything they need. This may actually be, now that I'm doing this, a worse idea than I expected it to be. So, which is fine. That's fine. Because now I'm also looking at this. You wouldn't need to store the call count, except it is for, oh yeah, because each one could be, so you do need to do that. Okay. This one's a little weird because if you have no parameters, there's only going to be, there's either 0 or 1. And I could make it so it's an array, but then that's an array access for no good reason. So now what you could do here is for take no arguments is say if this dot method member 0 is not null, which is barking because it's saying so I would have to remember in this case that this could be null. Then say if this dot member 0 method, oh crap, it's a tuple. So because it's a nullable of T. Could you just do this? No. It won't let you do that because that's just silly. Yeah, you can't do, well, you could do invoke. Yeah, like that. And then that's literally the same as that. Okay. And then you say this dot member 0 value callback, no, increment call count. Okay. So that takes care of all this else. So it's a little smaller, but I mean, that's just a code size thing. I don't like that you have to, because it says here, because this is a nullable struct, because that's what tuples are, is a struct underneath the scenes. So it will say, oh yeah, that's, again, experimentation. Here we would say if this dot member 1 is not null, okay, then we say for each var, okay, and now we can say if method handler 1 dot a is valid a, and method handler 1b is valid b. Oh, then we want to capture the found match, because we still need to do that. And then we say found match is you. Thank you. Method handler 1 dot callback invoke a and b. Method handler 1 and increment call count. Okay. And then we break. If we did not find a match, we do this. And then we take all this off. Right? So we don't do that. Okay, it's as simple as that. I don't understand why it's... Oh, we don't need the handlers field anymore. Oh. No, the whole thing. There. And I was already checking for 1 to be not null anyway. That's interesting. So what does this look like compared to this? 6 cents, 1/2 dozen of the other. I don't really see a difference between the two in terms of efficiency or complexity or anything like that. If anything, what this is going to make this harder is that I have to generate all this, which isn't hard. It's just time consuming. Time consuming from just me literally changing the code generator, the source generator to do this. And you're basically offsetting what you're deferring from these calls. You know what I mean? So I'm not really sure if this is that helpful to do it this way. Really don't know. But that's why we're doing this. So let's do one thing real quick here. Let's say instance experiment. Does anything fail? Yeah. Oh. Oh, son of a... Because it's calling back into... Why? There is a reason. You know what? I'm going to stop here for this episode. And I do want to go through the rest of this and at least do some test to see if there's any difference in performance. I did forget about this though, in that this is for some reason calling back to the handlers. And I don't remember why I exposed this, if at all. For this experiment, I may need to just capture the handlers and store more memory into the object than what I wanted to. Although you're just taking a reference to this, so whatever. But yeah, I'm going to do another episode and hopefully just at least try to run some benchmarking tests, and we'll see how that goes. So thank you all for watching. Leave comments and questions below. See you in the next episode.